Benjamin Harris, the newly appointed CEO of Brightview Solutions, had a bold plan before officially stepping into his role. Determined to understand the true culture of his company, he decided to go undercover as a job applicant. Disguised as Larry Simmons, a wheelchair-bound candidate applying for a junior data analyst position, Benjamin wanted to see how his employees treated people when they thought no one was watching. What he discovered was shocking. A senior HR manager, Cheryl Dixon, dismissed him with condescending remarks, openly questioning his abilities and suitability for the job. Others stood by silently, failing to intervene. Little did they know, the man they dismissed was about to become their boss. What happens when a leader witnesses prejudice firsthand? Stay tuned for the inspiring story of how one CEO turned a moment of discrimination into a powerful lesson for his company. Brightview Solutions had just named Benjamin Harris as its new CEO, a position that came with both excitement and immense responsibility. But Benjamin wasn't interested in just sitting in the corner office and making decisions from the top. He had one priority before officially stepping into his role: ensuring the company truly lived up to its values of respect, fairness, and inclusivity. He knew a company's culture was shaped by the actions of its people, especially its managers, and he wanted to see the reality firsthand, not the polished version they presented to leadership. To achieve this, Benjamin came up with a bold plan. He decided to go undercover as Larry Simmons, a job applicant in a wheelchair, applying for a junior data analyst position. By doing this, he hoped to observe the hiring process unfiltered and see how candidates were treated, especially someone who might be perceived as different. The day of his undercover mission was Brightview's quarterly hiring event, and the headquarters were buzzing with activity. The gleaming floors of the lobby were packed with hopeful candidates, clutching their resumes and nervously practicing their answers to potential questions. HR staff members stood nearby, clipboards in hand, chatting and laughing as they prepared to manage the interviews. Benjamin rolled into the lobby quietly, his wheelchair moving smoothly across the polished floor. No one paid him much attention at first as he joined the line of applicants, taking in the atmosphere. It was busy, energetic, and on the surface, professional. Exactly what you'd expect from a growing tech company. But Benjamin wasn't here for appearances. He was here to see how the company truly treated people. And he didn't have to wait long to find out. As Benjamin waited for his name, well, Larry Simmons's name to be called, he observed the HR team from a distance. They seemed professional enough, laughing and chatting with each other, but the real test was about to begin. "Mr. Simmons," a voice called. Benjamin rolled forward in his wheelchair, greeted by Cheryl Dixon, the HR manager overseeing this round of interviews. Cheryl was tall and sharply dressed, with a look of mild impatience as her eyes scanned him from head to toe. Her expression shifted slightly, just enough to betray her surprise and judgment. "You're here for the data analyst position?" she asked, her tone laced with skepticism. "Yes, ma'am," Benjamin replied politely, extending his hand. Cheryl didn't shake it. Instead, she let out a faint smirk and glanced at his wheelchair. "Do you even know what this job entails?" she said, her voice loud enough for nearby candidates to overhear. Benjamin stayed calm and nodded. "I have the necessary skills and experience," he said firmly. Cheryl crossed her arms, clearly unimpressed. "I'm not sure if you're aware, but Brightview Solutions isn't exactly a place for people with limitations," she said, emphasizing the word with a sour smile. "We need people who can keep up, who can handle the demands of a fast-paced environment." The room grew tense. A few candidates shifted uncomfortably, while others whispered quietly to one another. None of the HR staff stepped in or seemed willing to intervene. Benjamin, however, remained calm, taking mental notes of Cheryl's words, her tone, and the way her colleagues turned a blind eye. After a few more dismissive remarks, Cheryl delivered her final blow. "Let's not waste anyone's time here," she said, a sneer on her face. "Why don't you just head on out? Maybe this job isn't for you." Benjamin gave her a polite nod, turning his wheelchair toward the exit. He didn't say a word to defend himself, nor did he reveal his true identity. But as he left the room, he resolved to confront this toxic culture head-on. Today had given him all the evidence he needed, and Cheryl had no idea what was coming. The anticipation in Brightview's main auditorium was palpable as employees gathered for a special event, the introduction of their new CEO. HR staff, department heads, and team members filled the seats, whispering excitedly about who this new leader might be. Cheryl Dixon sat near the front, relaxed and confident, unaware that her world was about to turn upside down. When Benjamin Harris stepped onto the stage, the applause filled the room. Dressed in a sharp suit, his commanding presence immediately caught everyone's attention. As he scanned the crowd, his gaze briefly landed on Cheryl, whose confident smile froze in place. Her face turned pale as recognition set in. Benjamin began his speech, his tone calm but firm. This company was built on values of respect, inclusivity, and fairness. Today, I want to share an experience I had, undercover, as a candidate walking through our hiring process. What I saw was disappointing. Assumptions made based on appearance, dismissiveness, and prejudice. The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. Cheryl sat stiffly, her hands gripping her chair, unable to meet his gaze. Benjamin continued, "Let me be clear. There is no room for such behavior here. Brightview Solutions will always judge people on their abilities and character, not their appearance or circumstances. For those who think otherwise, I urge you to reconsider." The audience erupted into applause, energized by his vision for the company. But for Cheryl, the message was loud and clear. Her actions had consequences, and there was no escaping them. Later that day, Cheryl found herself called into a private meeting with Benjamin and the company's founder, David. The tension in the room was palpable as Cheryl stood before them, her usual confidence replaced with visible unease. She opened her mouth to defend herself, but Benjamin's calm, unwavering tone stopped her. "Cheryl," he began, his gaze steady, "do you understand why you're here?" She hesitated, fumbling for an excuse. "I was just trying to maintain the company's standards," she muttered weakly. Benjamin's expression didn't change. "Standards don't mean dismissing someone based on assumptions or belittling them because they don't fit a preconceived image," he said firmly. "Your actions today were not just unprofessional. They undermined the values this company stands for." David nodded in agreement, his voice stern but measured. "We cannot and will not tolerate behavior that contradicts our commitment to respect and fairness. After careful consideration, we've decided to terminate your employment with Brightview Solutions, effective immediately." Cheryl's face went pale as the words sank in. She looked to Benjamin, hoping for leniency, but found none. "This isn't about punishment," Benjamin said gently. "It's about protecting the culture we're building, one where everyone is given a fair shot." As Cheryl left, the weight of her actions fully sinking in, Benjamin turned to David. "This was necessary," he said, "but now the real work begins." From that day forward, Benjamin focused on fostering a workplace built on fairness, respect, and opportunity for all. His undercover experience became a powerful reminder for the entire company. Integrity is non-negotiable, and true leadership means holding everyone to the same standard, including yourself. The story of Benjamin Harris teaches us an invaluable lesson about true leadership. It's not just about making decisions or running a company. It's about standing up for values and holding people accountable, no matter how difficult it may be. Inclusivity and respect are the foundation of any successful organization. They're principles that should never be compromised. Benjamin's actions remind us that creating a fair and welcoming environment isn't just the responsibility of a CEO. It's something every employee must embrace. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed or experienced workplace discrimination? How was it handled, and what did you learn from it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that matter. Together, we can work toward creating a world where everyone has a fair chance to thrive. Thank you for watching.